Thanks to Bellroy for sponsoring this video. The iPhone 14 has a problem. The 14 Pro has an all-new camera, an always-on display, the dynamic island, while the regular 14 phones have, well, nothing. There is a lot of drama around the iPhone 14 right now. It's boring, it's broken, it's not worth the upgrade. I can tell you from personal experience, I bought a 14 Pro Max this year and I made a mistake. This is not the right iPhone for me and might not be for you either. So as of recording this video, the iPhone 14, 14 Pro, and 14 Pro Max have not even been out a full week, yet there are already multiple controversies surrounding these brand new iPhones. There's shaky camera gate, there's battery gate, there's eSIM gate, and a general sense of sort of fail and disappointment around the regular iPhone 14 models. What exactly went so wrong this year? Okay, so let me start by saying this. All of the problems and all the issues surrounding the iPhone 14 are valid, but they're nothing new. Every single year, without fail, when a new iPhone launches, there are always a set of problems that seem horrible and it seems like Apple failed, and after a couple of weeks, software updates come, they fix the issues, and then life goes back to normal and everyone loves their brand new iPhone. But this year, I think it's different. Apple does have a serious problem on their hands, and starting soon, we're gonna pay the price for Apple's mistakes. Let me start first with the sort of general feeling of disappointment with the iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Plus, because many say that Apple just didn't do enough to make this a really compelling iPhone offering this year, and that honestly, the 14 and 14 Plus are really boring iPhone upgrades. And to that I'd say I both agree and disagree. Look, we all know that in the tech world we love the latest and greatest things, but most people don't care about dynamic islands or fancy cameras. But if you know someone coming from an iPhone 6, a 7, an 8, or maybe an older 10 or 10s model, jumping to the iPhone 14 is gonna be a really great upgrade, and I think for many people, the majority of people in fact, buying the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus, they're coming from, older iPhone models, and these upgrades, while not significant year over year, are going to be a huge step forward from the phone they've had in their pocket for the last several years. But when you look at the entire line, and you look at the 13 series versus the 14 series, there are two phones that got a whole lot of love this year, and those are the more expensive iPhone 14 Pro models. Those regular 14s look older, they've got the older display technology, they don't have any high refresh rate, they've got the older processor inside. The difference year over year is just really small. Now obviously, there's a reason Apple is giving a lot of the features to the Pro iPhones. One is they're named, the Pro phones, but also they're more expensive, they're more flagship, Apple can make more money off of them, there's more of an opportunity there for them to add more flashy features. That does make sense. But I think there's a deeper problem right now happening with the iPhone, sort of having an identity crisis inside of Apple, and the iPhone line is going to drastically change as a result over the next few years, and it's not gonna change in a good way, it's gonna sort of get worse in a lot of ways. There have been a few interesting reports that have emerged over the past few days in particular that showcase that Apple is having some issues with the iPhone 14. One in particular says that the iPhone 14 Plus has particularly weak demand, and the fact that you can still hop online to the Apple website or any carrier, Best Buy or anything like that, and still buy a phone for pickup or delivery on launch day is not a good thing and sort of unheard of in any other modern Apple launch. Now, I'd argue that those buying the iPhone 14 Plus probably aren't the crowd to pre-order, but it's still a data point that we can sort of see as one sort of piece to this puzzle. The other report that we saw emerge claimed that Apple was asking some of their suppliers overseas to switch up production lines for making iPhone 14 over to iPhone 14 Pro because the demand for that phone was more than anticipated, while the demand for the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus is seemingly less than Apple anticipated, and they're just gonna make less of those phones and focus more and more on Pros. Which sort of leads to the question, what's wrong with the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus? Are these really bad phones? Are they boring? Do they have lackluster upgrades? Does no one care about them? Or are they just too dang expensive? I know iPhone prices have increased in many areas around the world, even though prices here in the US pretty much stayed the same. But let me tell you from my perspective here in the US, price definitely plays a big issue, but not in the way you might think. When you watch the Apple keynote or you hop onto the website, you see the price there. It's $800 versus $1,000 or $900 versus $1,100. $200 is not an insignificant amount of money. But I can tell you, again, being US-centric, that is not the way at all it is shown off to 90% of consumers looking to buy phones today. That's because what carriers and many other companies have realized is that if you break it up to the smallest amount possible, it's gonna look more tempting than ever before. And what a lot of carriers are doing here in the US, and I'm sure around the world as well, is they're breaking these up into like 36-month payments that make the payments for these maybe $20, $30, $40 a month, which makes it a lot more attainable for many people. But also what it does at the same time is that it closes the gap in price between an iPhone 14 and an iPhone 14 Pro. And if you look at these phones in a store or on a website side by side, the 14 Pro looks different. It's got a more flashy spec sheet. It's got better cameras. It's got a better display. It has got all these great features that you might not ever use. But when the difference, let's say for example, is $2 or $3 more a month, I can tell you way more people are way more likely to spend that extra money and go Pro to have those extra features just for the couple of extra dollars it's going to cost them. The price difference on paper seems big, but once they see that few dollar incremental change, they're gonna wanna go to the phone that looks different and has better features than stick with sort of the tried, true, more boring 14 or 14 Plus. And I've seen so many arguments from people saying, look, the 14 Plus is horrible, Apple needs to bring back the Mini, they should have made a 14 Mini, or they should make a 14 Mini Pro. People love the idea of small phones, but let me tell you the honest truth, the Mini line with the 12 and 13, it didn't sell well at all. That's why Apple axed it and is no longer making mini phones. And a lot of people love to point to the iPhone SE as being sort of the halo for the perfect example of a small, compact, lightweight, small screen phone. It proves that a small screen phone is great, right? Well, I don't think so, because here's the thing. Do people want a mini iPhone or a smaller screen iPhone because it's small and easier to use, or do they want it because it's cheap? And I think that's what it comes down to. The iPhone SE is successful because of its price point. The Mini was priced too high. The iPhone 14 Plus is a great large screen iPhone experience, but it's still stupid expensive when for $200 more, you can get a 14 Pro Max and way more features. Let's take a break for just a moment because I want to show off to you guys some amazing, high quality, beautifully crafted accessories here to give your tech a much needed upgrade, including that brand spanking new iPhone 14 lineup. And of course, these products are made by this video's sponsor, Bellroy. All Bellroy products are known for their impeccable design, their incredible build quality, and Bellroy is here to bring even more of that magic to the brand new iPhone 14 lineup with some really great accessories that you need to know about. One of my favorites here is this mod case and wallet combo. Basically a super sleek Bellroy MagSafe case that pairs perfectly with a mod wallet that can securely attach to the back thanks to Bellroy's mod rail system that uses magnets and a snap groove so your wallet can lock into place and not go anywhere. Another excellent option is the 3-card phone case, which easily and stealthily lets you carry 3 of your most important cards right with your iPhone. A really nice way to cut down on bulk while you're traveling, and you can easily access all these cards with just a simple swipe of a thumb. And last but certainly not least, there's the Bio Case, Bellroy's first fully compostable case, perfect for the iPhone 14 lineup. It's made from an innovative bio-based polymer mixed with 20% bamboo composite filler, and it's actually designed to be composted at the end of its life and can break down in about 6 months. That's really cool to see. So now is the time to give your tech a much needed upgrade, especially if you got one of those new iPhone 14s. You want to protect it with a really good case, and Bellroy is the way to go. They're making some beautiful, high quality accessories that are just perfect. I love, I know you guys are gonna love as well. And a little deal here, if you go through our special link down below, you can save 10% on your Bellroy order. So again, check out the link down below to learn more, check out all the amazing products that Bellroy has to offer, and click that special link down below to learn more and save 10% on your order. I can tell you though, on the flip side, if we're just looking at features for features, and many are calling the iPhone 14 and even the 14 Pro boring, I sort of do see that in a sense. I thought the differences were gonna be way bigger between my 13 Pro and the 14 Pro, and after using the 14 Pro for about a week now, I am not as blown away as I thought I would be. The 14 Pro is cool, but it's certainly not worth the money, and if you've got a 13 Pro or even any modern iPhone, it might not be worth it for you to upgrade. Again, it's gonna depend on what features of the phone you use, but I sort of made a mistake in a couple of senses. One is that I probably didn't need to make the upgrade this year to the 14 Pro, and also my other big mistake was that I went with the 14 Pro Max. I decided it's been a while since I've had a large iPhone, I'm gonna get the big one and see what it's like. That was a mistake. I know some people love the big screen phone life, but I can tell you for me, it's more uncomfortable, it's more cumbersome, it's just not great. Though I think, in the way Apple's going with some of their features, I'm gonna be forced to kind of like it because I'm not gonna have a choice. That's because we've now heard from a couple of Apple analysts that Apple is going to do more in future generations of iPhone to really separate the Pro and non-Pro iPhones, even separating the Pro Max from the regular Pro phones, basically saving some exclusive features, maybe with the camera, just for the largest, most expensive Pro iPhone. So if you do want all the bells and whistles of the latest and greatest iPhone, maybe you want 10x optical zoom next year on the 15 Pro Max, you're gonna have to go Pro Max. Apple has done this before. They've reserved some features just for the biggest iPhone, and it looks like that if you want the best features, you're gonna have to shell out the most amount of money possible to get the more expensive iPhone, whether you like it or not. And again, we don't know what those specific features are going to be, but this does make sense. As Apple looks to separate their iPhones more and more, they wanna push people more up the ladder to buy the more expensive iPhone, and whether it's got a cool camera feature or a display feature, whatever the case may be, some of us who are obsessed with Apple stuff are just going to buy because we want all those features. Some might actually use those features, but in the end, it's a kind of a win-win for Apple because people are gonna buy the bigger phone, they're gonna get more money from that, and Apple is going to continue to sell more iPhones and have people spend more money, more maybe than they usually would if they wouldn't usually buy a Pro Max model. But again, if you want those better features, you might have to start liking the biggest iPhone screen out there. I'm gonna have to love it, so here I am with my Max. I'm gonna try to love it and do my best to adopt the big screen iPhone lifestyle. So I'm curious, what are your guys' thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on the iPhone 14 drama right now? Of course, a lot of the stuff is gonna be fixed with software updates, and I think the 14 Pro is a great phone. Did you upgrade this year? Let me know down below. And what are your thoughts on the 14? Do you think it's just too expensive? Is $800 to buy an iPhone too much? Do you think the carriers are doing their part here to get people to go to the Pros? Or do you think there's another way that Apple could sort of fix their iPhone problems? Maybe do you think they should have given all the phones the dynamic island and the better camera to make it sort of more evenly spread across the board with new features? Or do you think there's something else? Let me know your thoughts down below. As always, I appreciate you guys watching the Apple Circle. Thank you so much. I'm Robert Rosenfeld, and I'll see you all in the next one.